Welcome, 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 everyone, to another Thursday special routine. I'm joined by Dale, the Lord of Light, Tobin, and Laura, Queen of Light, Massey. Light
Happy Roar.
warriors and light workers around the galaxies and universe, behold, the next Lion Gate comes. And we come to you out of subdued fun, but at the same time of truth. For every Lionsgate, there is some big baddie around the corner about to make you go down the path of doom and gloom. And then there's the truth of the Lionsgate, which is those that do the work, the Lionsgate will bypass you and give you wonderful, unique experiences while you watch everyone melt down. So if you are a fake it to make it person, a pretender person, a narcissistic person in denial that you are actually not doing anything, you and your Lionsgate will be truly unique. Laura, Dale, let's pontificate about the many past Lionsgates where thy was warned, but they did not listen.
And they got their ego crushed.
And what they were avoiding stared back at them at the face and went, "Hello, knock, knock, knock. Are you gonna what? Are you gonna listen this time? No, I'm just gonna ignore
Exactly.
you and continue on until the next gate. It comes on stronger and stronger and stronger."
You
So
can't
who
avoid your
remembers?
own truths.
Yeah, who remembers last year's Lionsgate?
I remember it very well, and it felt like it opened early last year.
Because it did. It opened 2 days early, and it took
Yeah,
almost 3 months to close.
Oh, yeah, it went on and on, didn't it? The
And it just
repercussions
kept
of the
going and
Lionsgate
going.
reverberated. Yes.
So, everyone, what is the first thing that we teach here at the Galactic Historian if you are a light worker?
deactivate light worker mode.
Yes.
You are not a light worker. You are here to live your life. Laura, in your years of self discovery, what has your light worker program shown you?
Zealotry. How easy it is to slip into zealotry over so many things, whether it's astrology, um, eating, anything like that. Yeah, I've been there on the extremes of everything, and what I've learnt from that is balance. I had to go there to experience that it didn't actually work for me, and that I needed to find the sacred, neutral, unlimited point of view, and that's what you've always taught.
And in your years of trying to stray away from the light worker path of zealotry, what did the different Lions Gates show you over the years?
That if you don't do the inner work, just as we were saying at the beginning of the show, if you're not going to do the inner work, you're just going to get unsettled because things aren't going to work for you. Whereas if you do the work, if you do your daily practice, what we're always going on about, if you're going to do that, then you can co-create with the energies of the Lion's Gate rather than getting beaten up by them.
Exactly. Dale, in your years as a zealot, light worker, vegan who didn't know how to cook, what did light working teach you about the Lion's Gate?
So light working, as you talk about this as drugs as well, like a false light trap, a false enlightenment trap. It feels to me that it's exactly the same being a light worker. That you feel that it gives you this strength, but it doesn't. It just makes you unaware of what's really inside of you about doing the true graft of the self by going into those parts of us which we don't want to look at. And for me, over the period of years and years, I put a lot of hours into myself. It was mainly Lion Gates showed me programs which were in the background, which couldn't be ignored anymore, or different aspects in my life, different lessons with the children or the family. Through my light working years, it was hard because I was just living a lie back then. I was just talking about cards, astrology, all sorts of different things like that. I wasn't actually doing the true graft of the self. And throughout the years, it is a graft. Like you have to put so much effort and dedication into yourself to start getting your way out, in the elevation mode. And for me, Last Lion Gate was a point where I think I connected to you, Laura, didn't I? More on the Last Lion's Gate, round about that area. It was a point to me where the universe was like, now it's time to step up. This old you is not getting you anywhere, and it's now time to start evolving, inviting people who you really respect onto the show and so on. It was hard work, Last Lion's Gate. This Lion's Gate for me has made me aware of how to use the Lion Gate in a special way to actually feel the greatness of it as well. Instead of focusing on, oh, it's going to bring up my own shit. I feel like I've done enough work within myself to enjoy it and actually experience these unique energies which are going on, because it does feel like there's something in the air in a great way.
But also look what happened after the Lionsgate. Within 2 months we were working with Andrew, or Andrew asked us, if we could all work together on Two Feathers and yourself. So that expansion...
I went on one of your shows and they said, hey, let's do this again. I go, all right, let's have a meeting.
Yeah, and that happened after August, and then the months, just because you were saying the energies continued, and that really was a big time of expansion for all of us at that time. And obviously Maty too is not here tonight.
And Maty is with his child Crystal having a birthday party.
Happy birthday, Crystal.
Happy birthday, Crystal. And that's it. And even adding more layers to that, it is the effort and looking at those parts of us which need to die in this Lion's Gate, like all of those versions and programs in us which are scared shitless of evolving. And that what I was shown in the last Lion's Gate and the last Lion's Gate, to kind of move through that and be really courageous in what you're doing, allowing yourself to discern between the program and the soul when you're in program mode, when you're in the soul mode. For me, that was a huge... Last year was mainly my program searching, where I was really seeing what was holding me back. So yeah, what's this Lion's Gate going to bring up for you, for everyone listening? What's in store? What's in store, Andrew? Tell us, what's our purpose, man?
With that said, for those of you that have been listening for a long time, or those of you new, remember August last year, September last year. That's when they were threatening to go to nuclear war for the first time in 30 years. Since then, we've heard it another 20 or 30 times in the global narrative over and over again. Nuclear war is coming. And now they're trying to push it off again and again and again. Well, right now, we're beginning to experience some very, very harsh energies before the gate even opens. And the best way to describe these gates as humans PMS, general human PMS, we'll call it that. As long as you're conscious and in a human skin suit, you're going to be having a highly emotional time and parts coming up. Okay? Now, lead that into the opening of the Lion's Gate. Well, traditionally, what does the Lion's Gate bring right away? Light. From where? So, Laura, why is it called the Lion's Gate?
Because it's the pyramid that lines up with Sirius, isn't it? I'm just trying to remember what you've taught us. Yeah, and it's about the are we in the right galactic flow with the energy, so that when the energies come down from Sirius to meet the Lion's pyramid, is it the Sphinx?
Yes.
Energies, our consciousness, I guess it is, isn't it? So when they meet, how much in sync are they, or how far out of sync are they?
How much in growth is your human consciousness to your other parts in Sirius, who have gone on an elevated consciousness journey for a very extended period? Are we copacetic? Are we able to match frequencies? Are we able to do things on a common galactic level instead of a lower linear time level?
Why is it Sirius does that with us? Why should the Sirians do that?
There a huge migration of souls from Sirius came here around 400, we'll call it more like 4,500,000 years ago. Huge. And many of them stuck around for a long period of time going through the lessons that were here, until you have the mass amalgamation from the 20 top major worlds here. For what?
So you're saying we all have different parts of our, like little parts in Sirius then?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Is
That's
that just the
essentially
nature of being a human and having the DNA connection to all the universe or the galaxy?
correct.
Yeah.
So is there no other galactic society that measures our consciousness in quite
No,
the
there are
same way?
Saturn, Mars, Vega, Alpha Centauri, many. It's all about, is it in a culture, religion that expanded over thousands of years, which was the remnant civilization of Atlantis that was called Egypt. And Egypt was a global culture, but in a rapid technological decline.
So is that why Lionsgate has continued to this day?
Correct, because there were specialty rituals that were done that exchanged celestial energies between the two forces. And it's what kept them all in balance, and has allowed teleportation of life force in mass from one place to another.
And specialist
So
technologies,
they want to regain the capacity to do that, but Earth has to be in tune to Sirius, and Sirius has to be in tune. There has to be a balanced harmonics. If one octave is off, it won't work.
So you're saying this was an Atlantean creation then, like lots of ceremonial time, well, in a mass way. I think we've lost Andrew. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
What's it been like for you guys, those watching the show? Put a comment in the chat. How has it been for you, this Lionsgate so far? What are you seeing in your reality as well? We really like the feedback. Let us know how it's going for you.
Yeah, we do. It's good to interact with the audience, and thanks, Law Stuart, for your comment in the chat. And anyone else
Andrew,
who's
you
got
there?
a question?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back.
Put it
Weird
in the
internet
chat.
issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was created in Atlantean time then?
Yes, it was created in Atlantean time. When Atlantis fell, the receivers of their inheritance and wisdom were the Egyptians. They were 2 steps removed from the high technology, meaning the high technology was destroyed, the ability to make it again was destroyed. So all that was left was the stuff that was still working. Okay? And Egypt inherited that around 9,800 years ago. And there were a series of slow destructions that happened all the way to 7,600 BC. But that's when many, many Syrians came here as a rescue process to try to save souls here and send them back to Sirius.
So it was created like a bit of a rescue mission in order they knew Atlantis was going down and they wanted to have something kind of seeded into the future in that way.
As well as get people out before the different layers of destruction, because they were reborn in to the slave stock.
Okay.
So,
and it was a very... Go ahead.
So when was the So the Egyptians put in the technology that they got from the Atlanteans, which is in the Sphinx?
No, they were the inheritors of technology that they could not create again. Only the remnants of what was left of their society was left on the planet. But a handful still knew how to use it.
How would you describe this technology?
Things that do not need moving parts, that have consciousness embedded to them as a program of light that's in an infinite repetitious process, allowing them access to infinite energies.
So it's in,
is it
in an object? Sorry, is it in an object?
It could be in an object, it could be in an entire land, it could be in a solar system. It all depends on the grandiose of the idea and how long it takes to create matter for it.
So it's not obviously AI, but it's like a manifestation of a creation. It's like when you're manifesting a being in the astral realm, where you create like a dragon. It's that type of energy, is it? And it's just been fortified.
Dragons are consciousness. Elements like metals are not necessarily full consciousness. They have a mineral community consciousness and a life process that's very different. Like many of them want to be forged into metals and tools that are tens of thousands of years old, that could have a history to them, because they will impact their Akashic records from their perspective and point of view. That's how interactive we are with the stone and mineral communities and the crystalline communities, as well as all the other elemental communities. Many of the pyramids actually created raw elements. Energy would come in through the prayer process, be converted into the elements, and then that conversion energy would go back to the humans to raise their consciousness. So as long as the humans give, they received. As long as they receive, they're able to give. And as you within a few hundred miles of any given pyramid, your consciousness was elevated several hundred times. Okay? And if you were originally starting out as the iPhone, and your consciousness, which was background feral wisdom that was given a spark by the planet, had to go through the journey of living in the structure of iPhones and discover that we're not iPhones to begin with. There is a spirit within us. And the Atlanteans were the inheritors of that technology, where souls were reborn into the technology, the surface farmed world. Was their backup survival techniques.
So are the Syrians...
So there's a reason...
Sorry, Dale.
Go ahead, Laura.
Are the Syrians only tuning into this one place on Earth when they do this Lion's Gate? Or is it
No.
many
The
aspects?
Lion's Gate represents a targeting metric. So when that star lines up with that lion, that's saying there's a direct planial axis from that world to this world that will create a multi-dimensional portal that the existing surface world technologies can link to transfer large volumes of matter and consciousness between worlds. But it has to be an equal exchange in the density of elements of consciousness from one side to the other.
So is that why it's really connected right near the pyramids then? Does it go through and kind of connect to it like a circuit?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Then where does this energy go then? So as it goes, say, from Sirius to the lion to the pyramid, where does it go? Does it go all around the planet?
No, it's an omnidirectional. The lion just represents, for historical reference, and the inheritors of the wisdom. As long as you know this, you could reconnect to your original star and brothers and ancestors and begin a longer form of communication that isn't about consciousness exchanging physical things, but consciousness exchanging consciousness and wisdom over millions of years, because the great forgetting is going to make us forget every time we die.
So why do we feel it before it happens then? Is that just because we're multidimensionality? We're feeling it before and after, or is it a constant exchange of energy?
Partially from our multidimensionality, but we have experienced the Lion's Gate as humans being tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times. All right, and what that means is we have a predisposition of those energies influencing us. We also have to understand Sirius isn't one world; it's split into two. One side believed in forced evolution, and one side believed in natural organic evolution. Their collective broke into two. One went to one world and one went to another world. And they spread their empires out differently. We have people from both sides here on this world who are trying to counsel those groups to get back together. So there is this triangle of higher consciousness and wisdom trying to resolve the great issues, not just between us, but through the other celestial bodies that are a part of this exchange network of souls, the soul commerce market.
So is it Sirius Alpha, which is kind of like the forced evolution? Then is it what Sirius A, Sirius
Alpha
B?
Are the good guys, and Sirius Beta are technically the bad guys, but they opened their genome up to other species, so they've mixed genomes of the baddest, darkest, evilest guys that are out there. So they're not just Syrians. They have all this other DNA in them, and they only recruit those evil people to become and be a part of their big clans.
So what's going to happen to the Syrians when we go through our change in the galaxy, when it goes into...
Real quick, I've given a little too much. They're not all totally evil. But forced evolution is their deepest belief. Okay? So you must understand, forced evolution is not natural co-creative evolution, allowing a being's traverse and will. And when you do something against a being's will and it's unknowingness, it's the greatest offense to it. Okay? So what has to be healed in the Sirius Beta is the stuff that's being done here, forced evolution. Period. Okay? And this is the battleground for a resolution on a higher level of what it takes to stop the logjam of commerce that's held up because people won't let go of a concept. They're taking vengeance to the next level, which is all sides are doing vengeance way too much.
So in the sense that like a reflection of this planet, isn't it? Those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are both of them involved in the assessment of the energies or the light they're putting out, or the energy they're putting out?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are. But
So
Earth is also a part of that. The consciousness of this planet is
yes.
trying to engage the fifth world of peace, to reach into the different aspects of the Syrian groups that did not start out as Syrian, but have a much more zealotous output of their beliefs. Like many of the Draco reptilian groups that joined them, and technically they said that it's the Draco reptilians that invited the Syrians in, but in fact they both needed each other to elevate their DNA to this next level.
So would it be a bit like using your chocolate souffle metaphor, where they're both checking the oven of Earth,
Their
the
own
consciousness?
ovens. Their own ovens.
Okay.
Okay? And oftentimes they ruin their own oven and they got to come here to get the copies of DNA to undo what they did. That's that black market DNA that I keep talking about.
So what would their main interest be in our evolution or our ascension, or whatever word you want to use?
So if you're considering the good version of them, it's to free us and give us our natural co-creative evolution that's been stolen from us. Mm-hmm. And if it's the bad guys, the continuation of forced evolution, mm-hmm. until you tear the power out of their cold dead hands.
Yeah.
That's what it's reached. That's the end of this is the only way it ends. Mm-hmm. The strongest peacekeepers and peacemakers from multiple galaxies and universes have been trying, and now it's time to sharpen the tips of the spear. Okay? But who are the spears pointed at? Who are the spears pointed at? In the nature of greater forgiveness, you just can't cut them out, even though that's what they want you to do. It's like death by cop, suicide by cop. Okay? None of those cops want to kill that person that just waving a gun to wave a gun to get him to shoot. Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing. They're temper tantruming little kids from a higher consciousness. And higher consciousness has to step down to this frequency and then understand all of its uniquenesses and then counter its move 50, 100, 1,000 moves ahead of time over a span of tens of thousands of years.
It's so interesting listening to this because a lot, say before I listened to your material, Andrew, on the Lionsgate, it was just people going 8 Lionsgate and no one really knew what it was about. And it was like, yeah, this Lionsgate's happening, but what are we doing? What's it all about? And so on. So this information is incredible. And for those listening as well, how special it is to be able to go into the layers, which we're going into in this show for the Lionsgate. It's really cool. And there's loads of different nuggets I've heard from this show, what I've not heard before as well from the previous shows.
So if you're out there, go into the chat room and tell me what you like, the different nuggets about what's going on in today's show.
And what's the best thing, like consciousness explorers or awaken aware beings can do to elevate their own journey? So
what you described was a light worker. So if that light worker actually has a real practice, and is seeing regular growth from that real practice, you can open up a dinner table of consciousness so that the beginning of mathematical hello can be said. And what is mathematical hello? It's listening to frequency, harmony, and vibration and not language. Until such a time, there is a frequency of light that is telepathy. Okay? It may take some time to work, but you also have to do it from a sacred point of view, in a sacred stance, and in a sacred position, in the neutral. Meaning regular practice of ceremony and what it takes to keep that ceremonial ground clean. Because what happens when something jumps into you when you're communing and talking to something else? It can jump through the dimensions and attack them too. Mm. So you must be responsible for your own ceremonial safety and space. And when you are, and you actually practice and do the work, those frequencies will open up at the ready, what you're ready for, not what your ego is ready for. So many people say, I never see, I never heal, I never do this, I never do that. And never is an experience for you because you're not really doing it in any depth or form.
Mm.
A lot of people are in denial. The teachings will even help them before they start. They practice the teachings, yet hold this contrary belief within them. It'll never help me. It'll never help me.
Yeah, so their own beliefs are working against them continually.
Right.
Mm.
So what does the system of domination use it for then? Obviously they'll do the flip side where they use it for their advantage. Is it just people blowing up, and obviously that's more energy to them, the more domination energy when people are kind of losing the shit? It's just a bit of a...
Because social media is in everyone's phone, and we'll just say 70% of the world, 80% of the world have a phone. What that means is, as a collective of thems, we are an uncollective that they can manipulate, not just through posts and images, but subtle ways the music are played on your radio, all sorts of other things that you would never realize are influence you towards a mood that has a prediction model behind it. And if you come from this mood and life state, you will act the way that they expect you to act, like you've done hundreds of lifetimes before. That's why vibrating and changing your level of consciousness as a regular daily practice is how you outdo the system. It can't predict you when you're doing your own work and changing yourself and dealing with the inner pieces and parts.
And claiming your sovereignty.
It becomes a great, I do this practice because I know it makes it harder for it to see me, feel me, understand the truly me and my choices.
Will it physically affect, or does it physically affect people's bodies, because we're going to have
Sure.
this effect of emotions?
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they go into spirituality, have to detox from the global narrative. It's always in their ear, be it music, books on tape, video. I mean, so many people are over addicted to music, they don't actually live regular lives. How many people do you know like that? Every day, every second of everywhere they go, there's music in the background.
Mm.
And the brain's constantly got noise that they can never perceive silence, and a lot of it is they're not wanting to be with their own shit because when everything is silent, there's something there turned on within them they don't like. And I've been there. I was there about 9-10 years ago. I always listened to music all the time getting ready. And when I turned it off, I was like, holy shit. It's like, there's a few things in there I need to fix.
Yeah.
Shall we dispel some of the light worker myths about Lionsgate? Because
Sure.
there's a few out there.
Go ahead.
The lion farts, and that's why we call it the Lionsgate. It takes a big dump and I take a piss.
So if the lion farts at night, a weem away, the lion farts at night.
Has anybody heard a lion fart? I've never heard a lion fart before.
I have. Go to lionwhisperer.com and hit or YouTube, and you'll see all sorts of weird things that lions do with their creatures.
Oh, one of them is, it's like, this is the route to ascension, isn't it?
What, the Lionsgate?
Yeah, one of the light worker things.
Any data prediction is your chance to salvation, right?
Yeah.
It's the end of the world, number 14. All right, let me try it. Maybe it'll work. Next.
Yeah.
And next. And next doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
how many people out there have friends that when one doom and gloom ends and nobody says anything to them, hey, another end of the world prediction ended, it didn't work. And the next one is they start again and nobody tells them anything. And then again and again and again until they tell 10 or 12, and still nobody has said, hey, none of those came true.
Yeah.
Okay? Whose delusion is keeping that going?
Oh, did you want to read out Jennifer's comment, Dale? You just said.
Oh, yeah. So we have Jennifer commenting here. Hi, Jennifer. I've been asking to connect to the Pleiadian consciousness of my future higher selves through focus and raising my vibration. I have twice heard Ashtar and soon see myself in a ship with various beings. Am I a being directed to Syrian break-off civilization in our solar system? Question.
Yes. but you have to see them as a very positive force that's there to do first contact. So, from a higher consciousness perspective and point of view, it's not about our world governments. It's the individual us who are about to be a part of a greater collective that has evolved over the next several dozen years as our world consciousness grows stronger to the collective. And what they're doing is they're in ships that have 4 or 5 million people on them, and each person of those 4 million to 5 million is an individually trained specialist in first contact with cultures who are coming into the state of being of great expression. Because our part of the galaxy has spawned a gateway to a new universe, to a new galaxy in our cluster, as well as to a new universe. So there is going to be a rapid exchange of cultures and sciences from one side of the universe to the other, and it's going to be the choke point where everything has to cross over. And they're the boots on the ground to get us, the souls who will be a part of this mass immigration from that universe to this universe and from this galaxy to that galaxy, one massive hub. And we're going to be the inheritors of this massive journey between spaces and places. And they're trying to train us of how to become higher density functioning beings while still living in this shared reality rules here. Until such a time, there's enough growing in the consciousness world to see the original foundations of human collective consciousness on Earth not influenced by the AI. Cricket.
Cricket, process cricket. So for the Lion's Gate and say all of the Ashtar and all the different ships are out there, what happens for them during this Lion Gate period?
They're open to communication. There's 25 million agents on the other side trained in first contact communication with beings about to come into a greater awareness of multidimensional living. Okay? They're here to train us how to be multidimensional living without them saying they're gods. They've been trained to redirect it back at us so they can see that our own wisdom and power. And it's freely available to everyone if you do the work on this side.
What is it that makes the energies last longer and longer? Is it each time they're lasting longer and longer, or you can't really look at it as simply as that?
In the Lion's Gate?
Yeah, Lion's Gate.
So they're different every time, even though we've been seeing a continuous raise.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to Trump's election in 2016, that was the Lion's Gate that broke the old guard. The old people, the 85-year-old then, okay?
Yeah.
Where they're well into their 90s now and well dead, okay? Since then, we have had different groups take that person's place as an inheritor. This son, this daughter, who came from a different generation, a boomer generation, or the generation after that, which was even more corrupt than the boomer generation. Okay? And then you saw the last two Lions Gates were clearing out the elders of investment. Let's just call it that. The ones that have been using human life extension shit forever and it just doesn't work anymore. Okay? They're huge volumes of them are dying off. And their wealth is being recaptured by the modern system. That right there is where human self-consumption is at. Human to human self-consumption of the system, which manages the harvesting system. As soon as there's not enough energy to keep the harvest system going worldwide 24/7, 365, there'll be a rapid decay of how they can control the narrative and pre-control the narrative by specifically releasing stories that affect people's different mood states.
So our raising consciousness each time adds to the potency of the Lion's Gate energies?
Yes, your unique signature frequency adds a unique potency that must be a part of the master table of variables to all infinite potentials that are moving forward. Because the system is there to stop infinite potential, and your one thing represents infinite potential. And if there's millions that represent infinite potential outweighs the finite potential to a point, until they can create infinite non-potential, which they've done with us before. That's how they're able to manipulate us as beings of time and put us on multiple timelines as a galactic culture, which is some of the greater negative things that have been done to consciousness here as an experiment.
What do the Syrians do? I'm just formulating a question. Hold on. What do the Syrians do with this information?
They want to train us. They want to train us how to be celestial mediums of peace.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Self-spawned, self-generated, without a doubt, self-validated and galactically validated by its own source, that they can do this. And then come together with the many others who have come to do exactly that mission. It's when their first contact people work with our first contact people, we will create a manual of how life works multidimensionally and how to use the astrological positions and stars to exchange energies in a positive way and create our own light force creations that don't need moving parts or supply industries.
So is there more things than Lionsgate then to various planets on what happens, which we don't talk about?
Our Lionsgate is specific for us because it's the graduation journey of your double PhD in the School of Hard Knocks.
Can you say that again, Andrew? Sorry, I lost a bit of audio there.
That's where humans, they're like the Lionsgate for humans is where they get their PhD and their double PhD in School of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
The Lionsgate was one of those greatest tests we had, lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. The challenge is, can we make many lifetimes that can reach and communicate to these millions of others who have come here for first contact to understand light to light frequency, not our culture versus their culture. We're nowhere near ready to exchange cultural ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Exchange the spirit first. Show you to each other who you are. Let the truth of the light prevail. We do not hide darkness within ourselves. And you're able to communicate to another being like that, it opens up to you in the exact same way. And there's a universal frequency of light that shows we are truly a peacekeeper and a peacemaker, where there is no darkness within us, and there is no darkness that we need to create. And where there is darkness, we can create light within it and create the middle gray. And as long as we can create middle gray, the infinite can move on. It's not held up by finite beliefs and demands.
Mm. So KTD has asked, could you go over Sirius A and B, please?
I just did earlier in the show.
Okay. Was there anything else to add to it?
There is, but you got to ask the right questions.
KTD, dig deep.
And can you define self-consumption?
Eating yourself? Starving yourself?
Sarah's asked, can you define self-consumption?
Feeding off the energy force, vampirically feeding off of your own human brothers and sisters at a global level and or local level to end that journey as a unique experience on this world as a collective group.
So I've got a question, and we talked about this a few days ago. So last year, if anybody remembers watching the Lionsgate show last year, we did, and Andrew talked about the poltergeist. So what happened? I know it's not an issue this Lionsgate, but what happened with all of that resolving with all of that last Lionsgate, Andrew?
I knew this question was going to come. I've done a couple of things, and it was a very long time since the other side made a mistake and activated a negative elemental force that was not harming them, was not necessarily working with them, and then suddenly did. Essentially, there was a terrorism raid, and I'm trying not to get my channel banned here, by the poltergeists. Think of them as becoming hidden cells spreading around the system of domination and control, and purposely causing havoc at some of their most sensitive situations. Okay? Many poltergeists died for it, but to them it was, their halls of Valhalla, their names will be sung. We even had, what was it, a weasel that broke CERN. Okay? Long live the weasel that broke CERN.
The weasel medicine. Come on.
Okay? Yes.
So that was a unique. That was a unique last year. Very unique. It doesn't happen often. Stuff like that. I remember you saying as well.
Right. It was a rarity. What's this one coming up to be? Well, it's sure as hell going to try to beat it. Okay? And what does it need for it to beat the year before? Okay? Us consuming each other, fighting each other. The harder we fight each other, the stronger it will be, and how it will manipulate the global consciousness and narrative. So, somebody in the chat room, stop seeing it as a simulation. It is a spiritual world that is a hologram, that it is real. And if you continue to see it as a simulation that is nothing but code, you will miss the entire point of spirit. And that's my personal point of view, not an attack in any way, shape, or form. We must expand our own language and words to understand greater language and words. Next. Oh,
so keep these questions coming as well.
I was telling you about the poltergeist.
Yeah,
so they got deep. Let's just say, if this were a wounded at the end hospital thing, you definitely had 2 gunshots to 1 foot, a knife mark to the liver, 2 broken eyes, a broken nose, and an ear they can't hear from. That's what the system was afterwards. Okay, metaphorically, that's how much damage it took. It's still recovering from that.
Did they kick the shit out of the demons and ghosts?
Right. Because right now, none of the political stuff they want to work is sticking. Okay, get woke, go broke. All the woke ideology is completely failing worldwide. I mean, look what happened in the Netherlands. The farmers united and defeated every existing political party and replaced it by their own by a massive margin. The entire government gone, replaced by farmers. Okay? Who's paying attention to what's going on in France? Anybody?
They've made sure that's out the news. They reported on it a tiny bit, and it's all, you never see it anymore.
Right? Go look for yourselves. Okay? That's the kind of shit that the poltergeists were able to create. Big stories that had to make the news that they literally had to shut the news down on. Okay?
Will these poltergeists be back at some point in time?
I'm sure there have been those who decided to fight another day. And will they make it raise their head? I'm certain that they will. But this upcoming's Lionsgate, okay, if we understand what last year's was, just disaster after disaster, all their key points being hit by these forces, and having to spend a tremendous amount of energy to take them out, many of them on suicide missions, intended to make them lose all these resources. Okay, like the shutting of CERN down by a freaking weasel. Okay?
What happened with that weasel then? Did it just get caught in there and just fucked it up?
We renamed him Fred the Great.
Great. Was he spiritually contracted to do that?
Yes, he was. Yes. The one weasel that broke CERN.
You are going to be the weasel coming in, planning the life. You're going to be the weasel which breaks CERN. Okay, I'm up for it. Let's do it.
Exactly. Those dumb human scientists will never think a comet with a weasel could actually get into their $1 trillion machine.
That's a T-shirt right there. That is a T-shirt.
It takes one weasel to end domination and control's willpower. You hear that, guys? It takes one weasel.
So what does the Lion's Gate do for ghosts and demons then? Those obviously the hanging around wherever they're hanging around. What does the Lion Gate bring up for them? Does it cross a lot of people over?
All right, so let me use this type of words. When those negative forces experience the Lion Gate, their pagers and cell phones and their calendars are filled up with contracts. Right? Don't get that. They're all ready to work. It's like snow's coming down and people are putting the plows in their trucks. Okay? For any of you have ever experienced heavy snow coming, okay? When you see the plows in the trucks, you know something bad's about to happen. Okay? Okay? There's a lot of plow trucks out right now.
Okay.
Now, there are those that do get tired of that, and they purposely fuck up their contracts and try to flip to become good guys. And you also see good guys who become bad guys.
What's the relevancy of the 8-8, the numerology? How does that fit into all of this? Is it that just light worker stuff?
No, it's a sacred math that has to do with the original sacred laws, pre-biblical stuff, post-biblical Templar stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is it relevant today?
A way to get to the grand understanding through math.
Okay. Is it relevant today for our Lion's Gate?
If you're highly educated about that stuff, sure, it will guide you in a different thing. But for us as everyday commoners to get access to that real wisdom is the grander journey. Once again, You're on that path of discovering. That's why Lion's Gate's encoded into the very essence of our DNA frequency. That's how we create the resolution and the change that's needed for our next evolution.
So what's the sort of thing we're going to see, do you think, happen worldwide? Mr. Galactic Historian.
Somebody's economy will melt down and it'll be a very big news.
Okay.
Somebody's politicians will have something done to them and we'll have lots of news. We'll have lots of cultural stories that try to come true that don't come true. Whatever the system can do to get you to notice it. And it's going to be cheerleading and booby flashes as much as it can. What's it take for get the average light worker, eyebrow raised at the next prediction? Okay. And what's it take a mother of four who every now and then believes in a conspiracy to suddenly say the world's going to end for the first time? And then that date and time comes and the world doesn't end and everyone laughs at her and moves on. And then she chooses another one and another one, and another one. And 20 years later, she's waiting for the next one, the doom and gloomer.
And there's a sense of freedom with that, isn't there? When you don't wait for things, or you're just in the moment and you're in that true freedom zone of really experiencing the moment for what it is, instead of trying to change anything or predict. And that's something I went through over the last period of the last 3 years, was truly how to be in the moment and how to allow yourself to have fun in the moment without being controlled.
Right.
By the exact minute. Yeah. So what's this about you did speak about the roar before. How relevant is that, the lion's roar, if you want to tell people again
when the gate opens, there's a roar, but when the gate opens early, there's more of like a purr.
Meow.
No, a purr, not a meow, a purr. The gate's open, and then there's the meow, the roar. Okay? And what is the roar intending to do? It's saying the two systems have lined up and reflected celestial energy at each other. And the rest is, can they tune up? And the roar going back and forth is saying that there's a harmony and a tune. And for about a standard period of 3 days is when the Lion's Gate is. But because we're dimensionally shifted here, it can be months long for those roars to finally come to an end.
Okay.
Because not every reality uses time the same way.
So is there anything the system has done in the past to stop it going from one area to the next? Like any technology they've had to block it?
Oh yeah. That's why they instituted cell phones.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So they
What's your cell
interrupt
phone?
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop you from hearing it. Can broadcast all sorts of negative frequencies as well as direct them at you.
Okay.
It's not shielded or guarded technology at all. It's purposely unshielded and unguarded.
Yeah, so could this be a bit like solstice times when you used to say, try and get off the internet for a while at
Sure.
solstice
Unplug.
when
Unplug and unplug and rediscover the language of nature.
Yeah,
The birds
so
and the bees and the thunderstorms and the pigeon screwing.
So could they be putting out more extra during this period? Will they be putting out more discordant frequencies in one form or another?
Absolutely. What's going on in modern history right now? Pure discord.
Right. And they do it in a lot of subtle ways, don't they, that we don't even realise.
So, Melanie, do I get any cool points for my Lionsgate birthday? Mostly kidding. Technically, you aren't. No, you don't get any free points, but you do get a chance to do extra credit. So, yes, it means you have to do more work for your birthday. Yes. That means being born on the Lionsgate means every year you have to do some extra special personal work on yourself. And if you are able to do it, the greater gift is the next year. And the next year, after doing it enough times, you can get rid of some of your hardest problems very fast.
Is it a bit like a full moon? It sort of expands the energies either way that you're working.
Yes, it can be like that.
Okay.
So we got a question from the chat here. Regarding the Syrian A and B discussion about evolution, what is the stance of the break-off ship in our solar system? So, and are they hanging out? Are they hanging out in Jupiter? How many other ships are docking with them? So those Syrians who are in their own frequency, raised in light, have joined a galactic peacekeeping corps that its purpose is to train people in first contact. These are not warriors; they're communicators. Okay, and there are also people that can motivate others into self-action and not be seen as gods. They're specially trained souls to do that, to help nurture our growth into our own strength and take on a sovereign perspective. Because far too often in our past and ancient cultures, beings came here and called themselves gods, which confused the incarnation networks terribly. Okay, and what's put a clog in this whole master system of exchange of commerce between many different places, well beyond. Now, what's docking with them? Most of the time, those ships will dock with one or two, or they'll just make a cluster of ships because they can teleport between each ship freely, and it doesn't matter how far away the ship is. Distance means nothing to them. Okay, and they can also occupy many robotic, non-robotic, and human forms as they want. They're not clones, they're manifestations of their own light. So they could have 50 versions of themselves doing other things and tasks while still mastering the communication skill. That's again why they are master souls and trained in this. So they're part of a galactic peacekeeping force that goes around the multiverse doing this. And they've all volunteered to be here now. And if we were to take a bigger look at the numbers of galactic communicators that have assembled here, probably about 2 to 3 billion. Okay, but those are all the boots on the ground before the mass immigration of the two sides that want exchange happens, and there's no spiritual infrastructure to find out what's migrating from that universe to this universe, or what's going from this to there.
Can I ask, so for all of these ships and everything which is around the Earth at the moment, so when we go through our remembering state, a majority of them want to come in for the experience then? Are they really raring to go to experience the Earth in 7th density sea planet again?
Well, the journey back to 7th density, it's not instantaneous, the journey back, and the creation of the infrastructure that's going to be a legacy for the many future generations of travelers between these new points of connection that represent a huge change in historical evolution for beings who have run out of shit to do in this universe. Okay? Can you imagine huge volumes of beings who are so old they ran out of shit to do, suddenly finding a way to go someplace new? What do you think is going to happen? They're all going to come here and go knock on the door, let us through now. Fuck, those
We
humans
heard about
too.
this.
Okay?
A theme park.
They're
Right.
having a galactic coffee, and they're like, "Yeah, well, there's this place called Earth." And like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna have to go check it out."
Yeah, and then they get here, and it's like a fourth world spiritual government that doesn't do anything. It's like a spiritual banana republic. Nothing gets done.
So, as a galactic historian, then, for all of those listening, and if they're finding themselves in issues and problems with this Lions Gate, I know what the answer is, but what would you recommend for those people?
Oh, you got to give to yourself during this time, and you have to learn the first rule of what is giving to the self and what is selfish. Oftentimes, people don't realize how the phones have made them selfish with their times to others. And this is not a cultural look; it's just a look at just being human beings. And then there are those that truly want to be spiritual. Prove it to yourself. Don't prove it to others. Overcome the obstacles that are stopping you from finding the joy to prayer or rediscovering a new spiritual technique that you can practice that opens you up to other practices. Do something with your time here. Make positive, fun memories out of them. And if right now the spiritual stuff isn't working, give to yourself physically. Have a massage. Go out to a movie or a stand up comedy show. Do something that breaks the rigidity inside you.
Is that the sort of thing you've generally done at Lionsgate?
I try my damnedest to, but I always end up doing shows of how bad it is the last 10 years. Okay? So I have a little bit of a different experience with it. Um, I consider in the United States, like if you go for Thanksgiving, which is on a Thursday, and then Friday is the busiest shopping day of the year, they call it Black Friday. I never drive on Black Friday, and I mean never. I stay home. I do not leave until that Monday. It's that bad in the United States. Everybody's out shopping. Everybody's with their parents that they hate and they want to get gifts. Everybody's trying to try to spend their money that they don't want to spend. Everybody's programs are super active and evil. Okay, the demons love it.
Well,
I
we
know.
all see these videos, don't we, of like people going into a TV store and people fighting over like the last telly and kicking the shit out of
Right.
each other. Like,
You never
So
talk
I make
about.
it a point.
Go on.
Right.
Sorry.
I make it a point not to be out on the 8th or the 9th.
do we have Black Friday here? We do, don't we, Laura?
Yeah, we do. It spilled
Yeah,
over,
builders.
hasn't
Yeah,
it,
Black
to
Friday.
here?
Yeah.
You never talk about doing a fire on Lionsgate because the
Yeah, I do.
portals are ever. You do?
So I
Okay.
talk about doing a Lionsgate fire to greet the Lionsgate. Have a fire while it's
Okay.
happening.
Okay.
Remember 2017? We had a Lionsgate that was lined up with a solar eclipse.
Okay.
Can I say as well? It's always funny the solar flares during coming into the Lion's Gate. They
Oh,
go
yeah.
crazy.
They're evil.
Like
They're
just
evil.
before, they're just like whoosh.
Yeah,
70% major storm time activated.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's giving you the great warning. So yeah, the last 10 years, my version of Lion Gates, I do lots of sessions. And if you're interested in the session, go to my website, andrewbartzis.com, and let me help you get through your Lionsgate issues.
For all your Lionsgate issues.
So yeah, that's my bit of a jaded perspective and point of view. And I want to say something else. There's so many other people out there that are running their narrative. And if you run across the narrative of doom and gloom, this journey of the Lionsgate, just put them on ignore for a couple months. I can guarantee you that their doom and gloom is not going to come true. And in fact, I have a standing $100 bet with anybody's doom and gloom that does come true. If the world does end, I owe you $100. But if the world doesn't end on that date, you owe me. That seems to shut a lot of them up.
It's just remembering it's a beautiful time for manifestation.
It is a beautiful time for manifestation in that high creative fields. And then keeping yourself clear enough to stay in those high creative fields while everybody else is melting down. You've mastered your own little bubble of reality to keep it stable.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to work with it. And if it does trigger and show you something, journal it, write it down, so you can create a path out of it and heal that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. All those programs.
So Relic One is laughing at the spiritual banana republic. Yeah, that's what it's like here when all those old beings come here and they see all these beings from millions of years ago not letting go of power, all wanting to control, all doing their philosophy and spiritual and saying it's my way is the only way. And nothing ever gets done here. So yeah, it's a spiritual banana republic. Who are you going to bribe to get it to get done? And yes, there's been a lot of bribery to get the evolution here. Forced evolution does have a price. Most of them have a price, and they've been paid.
So I remember you talking about this before, Andrew. So I remember last year, was it in the morning you said it went from the lion to the Sirius? Was it like in the morning time it did the...
Yeah, it did the purr. Yeah. Followed by the roar 6 hours later, yeah.
And would that purr be the same, similar time this year?
2 days. The purr was 2 days early. Okay. And the roar was roar, but it kept echoing for another, all the way until early December.
Okay.
Yeah. Does anybody in the chat room have questions that they wanted to go ahead and write them down in the chat room? Joe, are there any from the Rumble side? I forgot. I haven't done since so long since we've done shows. I forgot everywhere. All right, we'll come back. Go ahead.
There's a question there in the chat, Andrew. Joel's just put in. So from CBN Observer, I've heard that 2 giants that were in the status in Antarctica awakened in July, male and female. Anyone heard this?
Oh, yeah, they've been repeating that story since about 2012. And you can find websites that are still from 2012 that haven't been updated at the exact same thing. You have just been given the regurgitation of conspiracy theory. Go back to David, what's his name? David Wilcox, 2012, 2013, 2014. You'll hear all about the Giants awakening.
So it's just regurgitated shit over and over again, which never comes true.
Literally regurgitated shit.
Yeah.
And that's true, Laura. Andrew is the only one to talk about the roar. I've not heard anybody else talk about the actual lion's roar.
Yes. So Thor's daughter. Ceremony on the Lion's Gate to commune with our ancestors. Absolutely, yes. And an opening of the joy frequency, exchanging wisdom, nuanced experiences, yes. And the nuanced experiences are what you're allowing yourself to have in that moment, which is a state of innocence with another being that's trying to communicate to you a state of innocence. And you grow a language of light from states of innocence until there's a greater understanding of the light being itself, but that is not in physical form. And you, who is in physical form, broadcasting light, which allows the 2 physical forms to create a greater connection from 2 sets of the solar systems. Yeah, I know that'll take a couple years for you guys.
I was going to say, can you just slow that down a minute?
I can't.
We're going to have to re-listen or ask you later. How many paradoxes are we stuck in?
How many do you want?
I don't know. Just a question. Sorry, it's a question from someone in the chat.
We are in infinite paradox. Okay. Literally. That's why shit has come to an end. That's infinite paradox. Nobody's plan is working. Everybody's plan is failing. You gotta come together now, or we're stuck in the infinite paradox and no one wins.
Hmm.
And and forced evolution can't not win. It has to have the last word.
And
Or dead.
these are the like the last people holding on, aren't they? Obviously, a lot of them have gone, but these are the people who are still in disbelief that they're gonna hold and take over, but they're not.
Yep.
So Lord Stewart would like to know, is the ability to become a galactic historian still available?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. There you go.
You all lost your chance. There's only one of you. But there's an infinite amount of use.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add on to this, Andrew, about the Lionsgate? What could be hiding behind those curtains you have?
Well, Dale Tobin.
Peering in.
Master of the Palace.
The phallus.
What happened?
Yes,
There's a phallus connect to this
asked?
Lionsgate.
Yes. Well, in my joy of telling stories that people can understand the metaphor, the way I like to use visceral words. Imagine 7 buttholes pointing at you from 7 directions, all blowing turds on you at once. Diarrhea, chunks, everything. There's no way you're missing it. It's from 7 directions. And I associate this Lionsgate as that. One way or another, the excrement that you've created will become elementalized and your own shit will awaken and attack you. Okay? What pollution have you left behind? Okay?
What does your shit look like? What does it smell like? If it had a smell, what would it smell like?
What does your
Acid's
excrement?
body.
Yeah, what does your excrement elemental look like when your own shit attacks you?
That would be a really good self-reading skill that to do on the Lionsgate. What does my shit look like? It's a really, really good idea.
The Laura Lightworker, what would their shit look like? We're putting you on their spot. Be visceral and descriptive. Does it have corn and peanuts in it?
There will be some lumps in it still that need, well, not ironing out. We'll need smoothing out or rubbing out. I'm not sure how to put that really. Yeah, there's still some shit there that some light worker shit definitely that needs to be examined.
There'll be a lot of constipation.
Look right.
A lot of red faces going, get it out.
Okay, and then you blow out an O-ring.
You need cream. Then you need all of it.
Yeah, from Jellyfish. May these multidimensional turds be rainbows from unicorns, and so be it. So you'd rather be, rainbow turds. Unicorn is a horse. It does actually shit. It doesn't shit liquid rainbows.
What would yours look like, Andrew?
Well, you're about to experience it, aren't you? Yes, you'll be firsthand. So will they.
You'll be able to smell it.
Thanks. So
my poop stinks like everyone else's. I say that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, when we're all sitting together and you have 21 butts facing you, our turds interact.
Turdology.
Turdology, the scatology will be going on, yes.
They're looking for a frequency match too.
Yes.
You take note of your turds because the turds can tell you a lot about yourself.
Yes. Now, in my journey of, seeing the many lion gates come and go, this lion gate is definitely a moody one. Okay, I think you're going to see a lot of emos on the street wearing leather long sleeve jackets and just trying to look angry.
It's going to stir some shit up, is what you're saying.
Most emos, when challenged, run away in fear of anything. That's the thing. It's how many angry emos does it take to stand up to the devil? One. But it takes one. And if you got a bunch of angry emos standing up to devils, you have a lot of devils that are losing jobs, and a lot of devils are losing jobs. A lot of people being elevated from other positions. We're going to stamp shit down and keep the war going.
Oh, there's a few questions coming in now. Dale, I can't access some of them. Can you have a look for me? For some reason I can't get them. Hold on. Yes, I can. So trays is, I don't know what comment it was, partially related to knowing it's Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, Pluto, Chiron retrograde, all our psychological stuff coming back through
That's
this year.
what's happening on this Lionsgate, isn't it?
All of our shit coming back at us.
It's the boomerang of shit coming back.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the boomerang of shit coming back.
So, Anthrogol has asked, will we still have physical currency?
Yes.
Yes. It's not going to change.
That again is a conspiracy shit what never goes over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like one of those shits what hit the bowl from every side all the time. Never directly smooth.
The spray.
So let me put it another way. So if this Lionsgate would be like an episode of Cops, bad boys, what you gonna do when they come for you? That type of show. You're gonna see a lot of boyfriends or girlfriends get caught cheating. You're going to see a lot of crimes that should never have been figured out. Like that illegal bioweapons lab they found in San Francisco. It was somebody left a hose plugged into an outside pipe, which triggered the Karens of the street to go after the building, which ended up having an illegal biolab inside it. Okay? Run by the Chinese. Okay, shit like that, one hose. Okay, that's all it takes. Okay, so you're gonna see things that just rupture your reality, and that's a good thing. When you lose faith in the narrative that it has coherency to it, there's another side that has great coherency to it, called natural living world.
So a lot of pulling back the curtain.
Yes, and you got to choose to look behind the curtain instead of just peeking through one little finger.
So Jenny's asking, this time every year I have a lion with red eyes and a cobra come through. Is this Skemet? Does she have influence during this time or just represents
absolutely,
divine feminine energies?
Absolutely, and you should learn to do something with it. When you're having those types of visions on a regular basis, it's saying, unfortunately, you must be some lazy person if you're getting that over and over again. You haven't activated this shit by now? I'm sorry, but when I see that, that's what I'm going to say. You're not the only one that has that. Do something with it. A life path with it, not whatever it is you're doing that isn't working.
And does Bastet also play a role in the Lion's Gate?
All of them do, because they're all part of the remnant Egyptian society that was handed down with spiritual wisdom.
Sure. Right, any other questions, guys? Pop them in now while we're still here.
So are you Lionsgated out? I will say this. We have just finished our tour through Scotland, and I'm here now in Littlehampton, south in the south of England. Dale's in New York, and we've had a really exciting time doing our new form of healing. And for those people that are coming up, this Lionsgate is going to be rough. With that said, we're going to be opening up bookings and dates for our combined UK therapy, and we're going to be featuring it back in York at the Redmayne Lodge. So keep an eye out for the email that's going to tell you all about that. So Laura, you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, we had such success. You'll see the testimonials we keep putting out on Facebook. We've put a lot of people now through the system, and the point of combined therapies is that you have one therapy after another, like the CST, the Lucia light, the hematite magnets, the PEMF mat, massage, light language, all of that the four of us, that's Maty as well, work with you on, which actually overrides the parasympathetic. So it's actually got nowhere to go. We have a little joke, resistance is futile. So it's going to break down those programs that need to be broken down and start your own inner healing process. So it's a co-creation with you as well. So we're all working together on this, but we have had great results in York. We've come down south and we're looking at somewhere in Brighton to do it in the future. So eventually we'll have north and south covered for the number of people now who are asking to join in and do this with us. There'll be various packages. There'll be one day packages. There'll be one day specialised detox packages. Andrew, especially if you've had readings with him, can actually design packages for you. We also have 5-day intensive packages. And the whole idea is to really get you on your healing journey. And it's great fun doing it. I mean, everybody who's done it has had, really, really great results. So if you're interested, we'll be getting the dates out soon. There's quite a few dates coming up in York, and then hopefully we'll be able to pursue Brighton or somewhere on the south coast as well. We're just looking for somewhere that actually has the flotation pods facilities that we like to work with as well. So please, if you're interested, just email me, laura2feathers@gmail.com. That's the number 2. So I think I've covered it all there, Andrew.
That's wonderful. Dale, do you want to talk what it's like when you're working in the system?
So my pre-Scotland was my first experience of the Lucia light. Then after Scotland was my experience of doing the combined therapy and being a practitioner, doing the psychic surgery along it. My mind is officially blown from it. Like, I absolutely love psychic surgery, all sorts of different healings and so on. The advance of how advanced it is to be able to go really deep into the layers of the self. Like, we've seen people start in the system where they're not really talkative. By the end of the system, they've got this different light about them. They're able to activate their own self again. It's like the soul shines within it. And some of the stuff which you're removing out of people, like even for myself, I was going through the Lucia light over and over again. I saw this really dense, dark energy from my past of when I worked in the restaurant industry, and the Lucia light was able to get that out. So I've seen people go through the deepest layers of healing. We've had people, we've removed all sorts of things from people which have been hiding away. The programs as well, it's nothing to be worried about. As soon as you're under that light, you're in pure delta space, you're in pure relaxation space. The light actually works with you as an extra psychic surgeon, and you'll have an understanding of how great that light is, followed with the PMF mat, the salt, the float, and so on, the psychic surgery, craniosacral. My mind has been blown by it because it's phenomenal of how deep you can get into the self, and traumas, all sorts of different things come out. You have a light orgasm, we call it, the lightgasm, like where they're just completely just smiling and just the eyes are in the back of the head, and it's incredible. And to be able to work with Andrew, Laura, and Maty, all of us together, I remember we all looked at each other and were like, holy shit, this is something else. Yeah. Like, for the price of what it is, this is something else. So I highly recommend, give it a go. You'll go into some real deep states of healing, and you'll be able to figure out who you are. You'll be able to go deep. yeah, it's an honor as well to work alongside all of you, because you're so, like Andrew, Laura, and Maty, working with them. I'm learning so much. So yeah, come to York and experience it yourself. Meet Andrew, meet myself, Laura, and Maty, and we'll get digged right into you. We'll dig our elbows in.
Exactly, elbow deep.
The light will light you up.
All right, everybody, we're going to call it an end to the show. Laura, give a way for people to get a hold of you.
Yeah, Laura2feathers@gmail.com with the number 2.
Dale?
Head on over to Phallus. No, I'm joking. Head on to daletobin.com if you'd like any soul surgery, psychic surgery. I'm going to be putting up a practitioner date at some point. So if you want to learn the psychic surgery skills yourself, go onto the website. Thank you.
You go to my website, andrewbartzis.com, and sign up to have a session with me. We've got a bunch of products that are available for you. All right, everybody, we'll see you this coming Tuesday on the Talking Stick Show. All right, Joel, take us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.